Thank you so much for everyone for being here today. We're going to go from 4 o'clock to about 5:15, and I'll break out the schedule in a minute here. But first of all, I just wanted to welcome you all, and then also welcome all of our panelists who we're going to hear from in the various areas of it. My name is Tracy Johnson. I'm the president and CEO for the Commercial Association of Realtors. I work with over 850 commercial real estate practitioners in this industry. Love the industry, have been here for 7 years, and I understand the great opportunity that we have working with students and working with our community to try to share more information about this wonderful career that is in need of more talent and more people to really help and build the next generation. And so I know that our panelists are going to talk a little bit more about that today, but I want to introduce Alexis Strode, who's in our office, and she helped pull together this program in a big way and just maybe outline a little bit more about the purpose. So Alexis?
Hi, I'm Alexis Strode. I am the Director of Membership and Operations with CARW. So just a few things. Can everybody hear me?
But still we can provide one times one.
Okay. So the purpose of this program is really to create visibility to students and bring awareness to these careers in commercial real estate. There's so many opportunities that we realize students were not even aware of. And as a alum of UWM, I also had that experience where I basically fell into commercial real estate. So what we want to do is we want to capture this interest early and get people who are close to these communities because they know about these communities and they care. So we want these communities to reflect people that live here and want to stay here and the communities that we serve. So, you know, how we want to do that is develop access points for students to have information about these careers in commercial real estate.
Great. So a little bit about the session today. We'll go from about 4 to 4:45, and we'll have our amazing panelists that we're going to hear from. We have a series of questions, and then at 4:45, we're going to enter into breakout rooms. So you have been pre-assigned based on the information that you gave us in the different categories and different areas of commercial real estate. Our presenters will be able to answer questions. They will have some prepared remarks just about the industry, maybe go a little bit deeper on some of the things that we talk about in the panel. And then at a little after 5, we'll just regroup and see if there's anything that we want to share with one another about some of the takeaways or any aha moments that you've had. We will share the bios of all of our speakers so that you can contact them or reach out. My information is also readily available, as is Alexis Strode's. Our takeaways for today's program include just understanding a little bit more about the career paths available in commercial real estate, what it can mean for you in terms of wealth building opportunities, in terms of how do you really gain that access, what you should be doing as a student right now in order to prepare yourself or find out more about taking the next step. We'll also touch on a day in the life, and then what the future holds for this industry, because I'm sure all of you have heard that different segments of the industry have been impacted in different ways after COVID-19 and various shutdowns. So let's get started, and we are going to do an introductory question for our panelists. And the first one is, tell us who you are, what's your area of specialty, and how you got into commercial real estate. If we could start with Jeff.
Sure. Thank you, Tracy. So welcome. Looking forward to having this conversation with all of you, and appreciate you all taking the time this afternoon to learn a little bit more about the fields that are available in commercial real estate. My name is Jeff Hoffman. I'm a principal at Cushman Wakefield, Boerke. We're one of Milwaukee's oldest full-service commercial real estate brokerage firms. I co-chair our industrial services department on the brokerage side. So we work with investors, developers, and end occupiers, and in particular with industrial occupiers, whether it's manufacturing, distribution, or anything that touches industrial real estate. So we are third-party advisors. We serve as brokers. So you're all probably familiar with home sales. It's kind of what we do, not really, but it would, as it relates to asset class, but we just connect buyer, seller, tenant, landlord, and we negotiate deals. So that's what we do on a day in, day out basis. I just celebrated my 20th year in the business, just started my 21st year. I'm a UW Whitewater graduate, born and raised in Port Washington with a blue collar family, first and only immediate and extended family member to have a 4-year degree. And I would suggest that perception of the industry is you have to have connections to get into the industry. And I don't necessarily agree with it. Connections help, but I think myself and a lot of people I know in the business have gotten into the business without having connections. So we can talk a little bit about a day in the life of a broker. What got me into the business, though, I was going to be a junior at UW Whitewater. My parents were in the middle of selling their house. They hired the broker that dressed the nicest, drove the nicest car, and put on the best presentation. And ended up being a very, very stressful and poor process during the sales process. So that was the aha moment when I looked at the broker they hired, saying, well, this person appears to be very successful, and this is the customer service that he gives. So that inspired me to take a course at UW Whitewater, Intro to Real Estate. The professor at the time was an active commercial real estate practitioner in the city of Madison. And the first class I ever took, he was talking about a deal that he did, and I immediately latched onto that. And so that's really what sparked my interest in the career.
So you studied real estate, and I think that's going to be a question we ask of each of our panelists. Can you guys in the chat here for our participants, can you just give me an idea of what you're studying right now? I know there are a lot of real estate students, but I think you're going to see that isn't always the pathway into this career. So, okay, finance and marketing. So speakers, if you want to just take a peek here. A lot of finance, real estate. Okay. Supply chain. All right. Ivan, how about you? How'd you find the business, or did it find you?
A little bit of both. So yeah, my name is Ivan Gamboa. I'm a senior vice president at Tri-City National Bank. We're headquartered in Oak Creek. We're just in southeast Wisconsin, although we do deals all the way up to Green Bay and Madison and in between. We're family owned. We're about $1.9 billion in assets. We have a $30 million lending limit. So we lend up to $30 million to any one entity. We do mostly commercial real estate. And as a class, kind of, we do all of them, whether it's industrial, retail, office, multifamily, purely investment and owner occupied. I've always had a little bit of an interest in real estate. My dad had a couple, duplexes and three units that he maintained when we were young, and I would help him cut the grass or turn a unit over, replace a stove, etc. So I knew that going in as far as what some of the, the smaller end property management would be like. I went to university. I grew up in Chicagoland in Franklin Park, Illinois. Went to the University of Illinois in Champaign, studied geography, which was neighborhood development, economic development. Met a beautiful woman from Milwaukee and made my way up and fell in love with Milwaukee itself as a city. Love the history, love the neighborhoods, and started doing my work in the south side of Milwaukee. From there was an opportunity to come work at Tri-City National Bank in the bank, and saw it as a great opportunity. I've been at Tri-City for 15 years now, and it's just been a great experience learning the banking end from scratch. So some of the my colleagues had an upper hand of having that finance background at going in, but I've there's plenty of education that you can do while you're employed at the bank, and took advantage of whether it's the corresponding classes or the WBA courses that you can take, and then just enriching myself in anything that I can get my hands on. And then every deal that you do is just that added experience that makes you better at your job. So it's been a blessing, and it's been tons of fun being in this. And now, I mean, never knew when I was in college that I would be involved in the commercial real estate business the way I am now. And now I can't picture doing anything else ever again. So here I am.
No, that's great. And, deals happen with, between Jeff and Alyssa and Ivan and Maleta. Let's jump over to Maleta. Tell us a little bit about who you are and how you found your avenue and your career path in property management and commercial real estate.
Okay. My name is Maleta Brown. I am the general manager of US Bank Center downtown. It's the tallest building downtown, right on the lake. You can't miss it. The entire campus is about 1.6 million square feet. The office tower itself is about 1.2. So we call it our little village because it truly is its own little city that we have down there. I actually started my career in banking, believe it or not. And, sorry, Ivan, I just couldn't imagine myself being in banking the rest of my life. And actually, I answered an ad that was advertising for a tenant coordinator position. And I had no idea what a tenant coordinator was, but the person that told me about the position said, well, the lady said that you would be really busy, that you'd be doing a bunch of different things and you never would be bored. So that's how I got my first job in property management as a tenant coordinator. And from that, I did move rather quickly into the multifamily realm and spent a good portion of the first part of my career in multifamily. Eventually getting to be able to bring brand new apartment communities out of the ground, working with construction, pre-construction, being able to review plans and give input from a property manager perspective, see those buildings come out of the ground, and then work on leasing them up really quick. That experience was some of the most valuable experience I think I gained in my career, because actually all of the principles are the same across all types of real estate in terms of management. So things that you learn, it really does not matter what type of real estate you're managing. The principles all apply equitably across all types of real estate. I am just really excited about being here today, because I have to tell you, I have a passion for introducing property management, asset management to our young people coming up. There's an age gap in our industry right now. There's the old fogies like me, and then there's you young and vibrant up and comers that are looking at getting into this industry, but there's not really a whole lot of population in between. So I'm just excited to see that there's so many students that are coming out of school that are interested in real estate. When I was in school, there was no real estate degree. I had a general business minor and a degree in economics, and I did the economics because all the classes started after 10. I'm sure you guys can relate to that. It was the easiest courses to get. So that was the route I went. But surprisingly, some of the principles of economics do apply in real estate. So it's not completely useless, but when I got a degree in economics, never did I imagine that I would be doing what I'm doing now. And very much like Ivan, I can't imagine doing anything else. I get up loving what I have to look forward to every day. And to me, that's one of the most important things. That's one of the things my parents taught me. You have to work for the rest of your life. You know, unless you hit the lottery or get some windfall, you have to work the rest of your life. You have to do something that you love. So I would just encourage you to keep digging deeper, asking questions, and find that path that's going to be for you, that's going to lead you to doing something that you love.
Oh, I think that's great. And I love it. This is why this industry is so great. It's because everybody that you talk to says the same thing in terms of they just love it. And it's because of the people, it's the opportunity, it's the, like you talked about, the principles. Alyssa, let's move over to you. I know we've done this panel and you've spoken to the class before. If you could also touch on not just your background, but some of the skills that you need to be successful.
Okay, well, hi, everybody. I am similarly excited to my fellow panelists to be here and to be in front of all of you. Hopefully, if any of you have heard me speak at UWM before, I'm not going to bore you, but it really is exciting. And I saw in the chat that not everybody has a real estate major, and that was the case for me. I studied healthcare administration and business, and I had no idea that commercial real estate was an option. And I started out my career at Direct Supply. I was there for about 1.5 years. And Tracy, is it wrong of me to call out some kids whose parents I know who might be on this call?
Not at all.
So I went with Direct Supply back to UWM for an event, and I met Paul Galbraith, Ashlyn's dad. And that was, gosh, 8.5 years ago. And we just really hit it off. He was talking to me about my career path, and I really didn't know kind of where I wanted it to lead. And he just kind of was persistent with me that commercial real estate was something I should try. And I just had no idea what he was talking about. Also, my parents don't have any ties to real estate. There's, no one else in my family who is in commercial real estate. So I, got some help finding some people to talk to. Paul recommended some people for me so I could learn more about it, and since it was totally foreign to me. And it's really such a cool industry because everybody's so willing to help and so excited to talk to you about what they do, because to Tracy's point and to everybody else who spoke before me, for the most part, people in commercial real estate are really, really happy to be here. So was able to talk to a few people, and I started working for a firm called Cressa with Paul, and was there for about 1.5 years, and then got recruited to CBRE, where I'm now a vice president in the office brokerage group. We represent landlords who have office space to fill, and we represent tenants who occupy office space. And I can get more into the details of what representing each side of that means, but it's a really, really fun place to be, even with COVID. And yeah, I mean, I've gotten to work with Maleta quite a bit. She's a property manager, and I'm also a tenant of the US Bank building. So get to see her go to work every day, which is really fun. And then, okay, moving over to skills. Gosh, I think the biggest, most important thing is having good communication and having good relationships. And that doesn't mean, again, that you need to come into it with relationships. Ashlyn, sorry, that's funny. So yeah, having those relationships and then being able to communicate. So all day long, I just actually said to someone, like, I have a lot of work to do tonight because I've been on the phone all day long. And lots of interaction with people. And it depends what role you're in commercial real estate. If that's not for you, there's still a lot to do in commercial real estate that doesn't involve talking to people all day long. But if you happen to like that, you're in the right place. Like, I was always getting in trouble in school for talking to my friends too much. And I never knew how that would translate into a career for me, but it certainly has. And then keeping up the relationships, in the city. It's all about networking, and that sounds like a really kind of scary and formal thing, but it doesn't have to be. And I'm sure we're going to get into that more later too, but keeping up those relationships and communicating well are, I think, the most important things.
Oh, that's great. And, as we go around the horn, if Ivan, Jeff, and Maleta can integrate, some of that into the answers, I want to really get right to it, because we got a lot of students on this call who are either looking for internships or are looking to, take that next step. Can you talk a little bit about what should students be thinking about as they're trying to make these decisions? What considerations should they be making? What avenues should they be looking at to make their decision in considering this as a career path? If you want to throw in a couple of resources, that would be fine, whether it's a real estate club, whether it's, joining an organization, checking out some websites. I know that's a big question, but I know that you guys are all really good on the fly. Can we start with Ivan?
Sure. As far as, how the banking system works, it's usually pretty structured. Every bank you go to has, their titles and their positions and what they're doing. For me on a day-to-day basis, my main job is to bring in new clients to the bank and bring in new relationships. And, but starting out, I just worked as an officer trainee, and really entailed just doing a lot of work for other bankers and helping underwrite their transactions. So it meant if there was a loan proposal, to get all the pertinent facts of what that is into one packet. So the best way to enter it is either, if you haven't graduated yet, then we hire interns, and we only have a few, so it's really probably like 6 months in advance we figure out who our interns are. They work in our credit underwriting department, and they usually kind of start off, you end up doing kind of the menial tasks that need to get done, but somehow we need someone to really burn through it. Sometimes it's property tours, sometimes it's going through our portfolio and kind of doing some data pulls so that we can get some good information of what kind of trends we're seeing in our portfolio. It's a really good experience because you end up seeing a cross section of what an organization like our bank does, and then you end up interacting with a lot of folks in our underwriting department. Now, if you're just graduating, if you're going to graduate, I think you end up going into would be considered like an officer trainee program, where you are kind of doing different aspects of that underwriting team, and you'll end up having some responsibilities to do write-ups, to do certain portions of that. And really what you need to focus on if you are a trainee is to show how much work you can handle, how much workload can you do, what can you get done, how do you show we really don't need you to have any connections or to bring in any deals on your own at that point. We just want you to know, do you have the aptitude to understand what we're trying to do? Can you put that together for us? And can you do the work that's expected of you? I think sometimes you just underestimate, like, hey, can you, how can you just do the job that you're asked and do it well? And the folks that have flourished in our officer trainee program really just outwork their colleagues, and that's how they got further ahead. And once they do that, then they understand that value of just coming through for your client and turning around a request, and that's really the progression of becoming, that early part of your career, becoming a good banker. And that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, I think that's such a great takeaway, that hard work and just over delivering, and just being able to stand out. And especially in a day and age when it's even hard to get that opportunity, right? Because of, with COVID, I mean, there are varying levels of, companies being open and those networking opportunities. I'm going to take it next to Jeff and ask the same question. But in the chat, could you guys on the call just let me know if you currently have an internship or are looking? So just say, yes, I have an internship. Tell me where it's at. no, I don't, I'm looking. Just give me a sense here if you could, just as Jeff answers that question. I'm
going to give you a little bit of a different opinion and perspective based on my experience. And if you want to be a sales professional, I had an interesting path, and Alyssa, Max Rosansky, and I have a joke about it now, but I applied for an internship at CBRE when I was soon to be a senior in college. Max is a legend in the industry. I caught Max on a day where he was a little high strung, and he didn't want to talk to me that day. I was scared, I left shaking, but I didn't get the internship. So it forced me, though, it was actually a blessing in disguise. It forced me to take an internship at Northwestern Mutual, and that was a crash course in sales training and a crash course for me into what it was going to be like to sell full time. And I knew right away I didn't want to do life insurance sales, financial planning sales. I had my eyes on commercial real estate, but what it allowed me to do was it allowed me to get on the phone, and it allowed me to get world-class training from an organization that does it very, very well. So that's not the path for everybody, but if you said, hey, I want to be a sales professional, or I'm very interested in selling, Northwestern Mutual's right in our backyard, and it's one of the best internships that you can get based solely on the fact that they train you for like 2 or 3 weeks and they let you loose. They throw you into the fire and you sink or swim. And that's, it may be intimidating, but again, if you said, I want to be a sales professional, I don't think there's a better internship opportunity out there for people to experiment with. And again, it's not going to be easy, but it will test you very quickly on what it's going to be like to be a sales professional. I'll talk about our internship program, which and candidly with brokers, our careers and days take us in a lot of different directions on a moment's notice. So as Alyssa mentioned, the volume of phone calls can be like nothing for a day. It can be from one after another. And then there are going to be instances where a client or somebody you need to talk to calls and you have to drop everything that you're doing to take that call. So that can be problematic in managing interns. So a lot of the stuff that we do with our interns when we bring them in, a lot of it is basic data entry, database entry. We try to get people out on tours to experience what it's like to tour properties. We try to expose people to the different property classes, whether it's retail, office, industrial, land. We try to get our interns to sit in on some calls, but realistically, with the licensing requirements that you need to call on people for real estate, you're not going to get that sales exposure other than observing. And again, observing people make calls is one thing. Actually getting on the phone and dialing somebody that you don't know, again, it's not for everybody. And to Maleta's point, there are a lot of different career paths in the field of commercial real estate that you don't have to pick up the phone and cold call people. But if you want to be a broker, that is part of growing your book of business, especially out of the gates.
I think that's great. You know, even to mention, you know, and you've heard a lot of that, you know, diversity. I mean, you could be an analyst, you can be out front in the sales role, you can be kind of on the service role and the problem solving role. I think that's actually a theme of this industry, right? Is solving problems or finding solutions for problems that people don't even realize they have. Maleta, let's go to you. Give some practical tips on what students looking to get into the field of property management might consider.
Okay. So the thing about property management is it's got a little bit of banking, it's got a little bit of finance, it's got a little bit of being a broker. There's just a little bit of everything within the property management umbrella. So I can just share with you some of the people that I know, their stories of how they got started in the business in non-traditional ways that you probably would never, ever think of. So I do know that residential communities typically hire groundskeepers for the summer. I know individuals that have gotten into property management from just taking that part-time, full-time groundskeeper's job during the summer at a property, an apartment community, or a retail strip. I do know people that have started in the business as building engineers or maintenance technicians. If you're really good with tools, with your hands, with figuring things out, with sometimes it's just changing light bulbs, but that is a great way to get to know the business. Another way that I know that several students have gotten into property management and been introduced around, if you will, is if you make a connection with someone, and I welcome you to contact me, at any time, but make a connection with any of us. And if there's an area that you're interested in, call and say, hey, Jeff, do you know someone in property management who is managing a medical office building? Or do you know someone who is managing, an apartment community? Just, pick what avenue you think you're interested in. And I will tell you, property managers are really, really enthusiastic about showing off their properties. And I've had several students just shadow me for half a day just to see what I do, just to follow me around. They didn't have to do anything. They ask questions, but pick what you're interested in and see if you can't make that connection and actually go on to the job and see if it really is what you think it is. It may turn out not to be what you thought it was going to be, or it may turn out to be more. Or you may stumble across something else across the way that interests you a little bit more. One of the things that I was very fortunate was that I worked for very small local real estate companies and developers during a good portion of my career. Mark Ergens, Barry Mandel, Joe Zilber, those types of companies, if you are really wondering where your interest lays, if you get in with the smaller company, you're going to get to do a lot more and experience a lot more. A company like Cushman Wakefield, which our corporate office is in Chicago. So Jeff's group is the brokerage group. Our group is the asset services group, and we're a part of Cushman Wakefield Global. And our corporate office is in Chicago, and they have internships every year. If someone's interested in going to Chicago, give me a call. I'll see what I can do to connect you with someone down in Chicago. But to me, it is just really reaching out and not being afraid to reach out. I know it can be intimidating to reach out to someone that you don't know, or someone that you've been given an introduction to, but you really don't know. But I promise you, property managers are so thrilled about young people being interested in our business, because we're not the sexy part of the business. That's Jeff. Jeff's the whole sexy part of the business. We're where the rubber hits the road. We're where things really fall at the end of the day. And I just can't even tell you the variety of experience you can get. Someone will ask me, what's your typical day like? And I will say, well, which one? I don't have a typical day. I don't have the same day 365 days of the year, because there's always something different, be it, tenant relations, be it digging into financials, be it a capital improvement project that needs to be gotten off the ground and meeting with structural engineers or architects, or, maybe it's hanging out with the building engineers and finding out what's wrong with that HVAC unit that just stopped working and, needs parts. Sometimes it's spending a day with the cleaning company, walking around and showing them things that need more attention, or pointing out things that they're doing really good. Some days it's spending time with brokers and taking, brokers through the building, or pairing up with brokers that are showing our space and offering the property manager perspective to their potential tenant. So there's so much, and there's no way that you could even think about half of the career paths that could sprout out of out of a building.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that you talked about things that were not traditional. You know, Ivan talked about, you know, contacting an institution, and, you know, Jeff, I know there's an internship program, but, you know, thinking a little bit outside the box in terms of, you know, go to a landscaping company, or, you know, look at a vendor
Yep.
opportunity where you can just exceed expectations and kind of really work that network. Alyssa, I'll go to you. You know, maybe talk a little bit more about some of those really specific things that students might be able to do as they're looking for those opportunities. Yeah, you can pick up the phone and make a call. But what do you say? I mean, you guys are busy professionals. How can a student break through and be a priority for you? Does it have to be a specific question? Does it, you know, what's your preference?
Well, Tracy, as you know, I'm really involved in talking with students. I'm on the LUBAR alumni board at UWM. I still have a relationship with one of my professors from the healthcare administration major, and I still go back and speak to his class every year. I think since the first year I graduated, I've been going back and speaking to his class. And so every semester, I'm talking to students who are about to graduate, sometimes students who are even earlier in their college careers. And so I have a pretty good base to kind of gauge how serious these students are when they're reaching out to me. I think one thing you can do, you know, right away is maybe a little bit of research on the person that you're reaching out to and say, hey, Maleta, I noticed that you are in property management. I'm not sure whether I'm interested in brokerage or property management or appraisal or whatever it may be, but I'd really like to learn more about property management and how you got to where you are. It's really helpful if you attach a resume when you reach out to someone, if it's going to be an email or follow up with a resume, because at least for someone like me, you know, I'm usually talking to 5 or 10 students at a time, and it's hard for me to keep you all straight. So if I can, you know, have easily be able to pull up and say, oh yeah, you worked here, you did this, and you're seeking whatever it is, you know, that's really helpful. Meeting in person, I really advocate, and it's old school, I know, to have paper at all, but get business cards made. If you have a speaker coming into class who you think you might want to follow up with, once things are back in person, you know, more so, or if you're going to an event and you think you might meet someone, you can go to Vistaprint or wherever and make with just your contact information, it can say, you know, your name, your major, your anticipated graduation, and your contact information, and give that to someone. Because I mean, I've been in class so many times with other speakers on a panel or something, and they'll forget a card, and then it's like, oh, does anyone have paper so we can exchange information? Like, just make it easy for people. Anything you can do to make it easy for professionals who you want to connect with, you know, the better. And then I didn't even think of this one, but I had a student recently, we had a virtual coffee meeting, and this is absolutely not necessary, but I just thought it was so clever of her. She sent me a $5 Starbucks gift card virtually as like a thank you. And if you want to get coffee prior to our virtual meeting, here you go. And I just thought, you know, she had put so much time and effort into thinking about our meeting. And then on top of that, she was extremely impressive. So I think I've probably connected her to, and she's not even interested in real estate. She wants to do marketing, but I've probably gotten her connected with 5 or 6 different companies that she's interested in pursuing since our meeting. And so, you know, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, no, I think that's really an interesting example, because this industry is so creative. You have to, even though it's very technical and very, you know, into the numbers and the financials and all of that, it's still very creative. Ivan, can you give us a couple of little tips and tools that you'd share with students, how they can be successful at getting your attention?
You know, I agree that if you're reaching out to someone and it's via email, then I would definitely recommend attaching your resume just right away, just letting people know where you can, how easily you can connect. I would also say sometimes I know as college students, you guys have busy schedules and you're focusing on, a lot of different things. So sometimes I've had students where, we try to set something up and the schedules are complicated. If you're asking to meet with someone, try to do your best to work with that, with the time constraints of who you're asking to meet with. I don't want to sit here and go through 3 or 4 cycles of dates to try to meet up. If you want to meet up and talk about the industry, then move around your schedules and make it work, and I'll do my best. But in general, just to be, it's okay to be upfront and asking what you're looking for. Because sometimes you say, hey, can I talk about career options, and be specific. Hey, I want to be a trainee at the bank. That's great. Be as direct as you can, and I'm more than happy to deal with or work with what you're trying to do and make that a reality for you. I would say if you do want to work somewhere like at a bank, it is more effective to reach out to someone and to let them know why you want to work there and what you want to do, and kind of put a face to the name, instead of just sending in a resume to our HR department where it might get lost. So if your intention is, again, if someone wanted to work in banking, I'm more than happy to talk to anyone here in the group, some strategies. And if it's, it doesn't have to be at my bank. It could be if you want to work at some other bank, we can talk about it, how you want to go through that, an introduction to someone at that particular institution that you want to work for. I'm happy to help facilitate that.
Yeah, I think that was really interesting advice, because people are at all stages of the game. I know we had asked the question about, are you looking for an internship? I mean, there are people on this call who are just literally just looking to absorb information. There are others who are probably going to call each one of you tomorrow and say, you spoke to me on this. I see on LinkedIn you're connected to this person. Can you make that introduction? Before I hand it over to Jeff, one thing that I've noticed with students, and this is, I think, really practical professional advice, is to make sure that your footer in your email has your phone number in it, and your complete contact information. Because a lot of times, like Ivan was saying in that back and forth, I'll be driving and I want to text you, or it's just like one other thing that I can makes my life easy. So Jeff, how about those practical tips and tools before we break into our breakout rooms?
What was suggested of doing your research before you contact somebody, that is a way to differentiate yourself. And I'll give you a real life example. We were about to hire a person to support our team, and a candidate came forth that probably otherwise wouldn't have been considered. And that person's not going to get the job. But the point is, that candidate got a Zoom interview and a follow-up conversation because that candidate cold called me, left a message, and sent an email with a piece of information that he had obviously reviewed our website and some of the projects we work on. So that was a differentiator, and I took the time to call this person because of the research they did. And for what we do as brokers, that is a critical skill set to help you win business and differentiate yourself. Is you're dealing with high net worth investors and executives and business owners, and they don't have the time of the day to guide you to solutions for them. When you get in front of them, you have to have ideas and you have to have solutions for them. And if you don't, you're just not going to get responded to. And that kind of cuts across, with what Ivan and what Maleta do as well. If you're not prepared to deliver solutions for people, you're just going to get overlooked, because commercial real estate, there are a lot of opportunities. It's a $17 trillion industry. It's a very competitive field though. And you're talking to some of the top tier professionals here, but there is a big difference between the top tier and the bottom tier. And the top tier win the majority of the assignments, put out most of the loans, and manage most of the properties. And I think the panel here would probably agree that the top tier prepares better, executes better, and they put in the additional work. So to me, that's a big differentiator. If you can put in the upfront work to show you know who you're talking to, you know what the firm's about, and you have a general sense of what you're looking for in your opportunity, that helps you come to the top of the pile.
No, that's a good one, because I know this season there's been just a lot of activity, which is one of the reasons we tried to pull this together. Maleta, do you have anything to add in terms of students standing out?
You know, I think that you are going to be best served by just being, you know, straightforward with what you know, with what you don't know, with what you want to know. It's a big difference between a person that comes to me and says, you know, I know this, but I would really like to learn this. So I guess what I'm saying is kind of set a path for yourself, not only for your career, but firstly, what do you not know that you want to learn? There's things that you can learn in, you know, property management that will make you a great investment banker. There's things, some of the best brokers that I know were property managers. They just have a different perspective. Again, some of the, you know, some of the best financial analysis people, some of the best asset managers that I know, you know, started out as leasing associates. They got to know the asset, and that helped them later when they got to where they wanted to be, to have that rudimentary knowledge. You know, just don't come in expecting to come in at the top. There's lots to be learned, and the good part about commercial real estate is there's lots of layers, and each one is just as exciting as the next, but it's something different. So, you know, my advice would be don't rush it and you know, just expect to come in as, you know, an asset manager when, you know, maybe there's something else that you need to start out as, and don't be disappointed if that happens. Take that as a good sign, take that as an opportunity, take that as, you know, another step on your ladder to get where you want to get. I know that I have, and I don't like the word millennials. I have 20 somethings and early 30 somethings for children. So I know that, you know, the tendency is to want to get to where you want to be right away. And it still usually does not happen like that, but enjoy the journey along the way and absorb as much as you can along the way.
No, I think that's great. So we have an opportunity now to go into breakout rooms with our speakers. And I see that some people are jumping off, but I promised you want to stick around to the end, because we have in our wrap up, we have some really specific tools that we can use to help you get connected and find a job.
Lots of good questions.
Good.
I can tell that this group, or at least the group that was in my section, they're putting a lot of thought into their careers and what they want to do. And I'm thankful that you put this together. Thank you, CARW, for putting this together, because I think, you know, we learn too. We're the panelists, but I will tell you, we learn from you also. So keep talking to us.
Jeff, how about you? Anything stand out?
I thought this is a very effective method to connect with students. And, you know, I was reflecting over the past year of what we've all been through collectively together. And not that I would wish COVID to ever happen again, because it was a terrible year, but there are a lot of things as a society that we take out of this from a technology standpoint and connectivity standpoint that are certainly going to increase the way we operate, the pleasure of our lives with the ability to do these virtual meetings. And I think this is going to carry forward. It's not going to be a replacement, but I think it is a net benefit to our ability to communicate.
Great. Alyssa, how about you?
I was really impressed. I had a freshman in my group that, people are thinking about these things as early as they are. I know when I was a freshman, I was not involved in clubs yet. I wasn't thinking about what I, was really going to do. I was just focused on probably partying too much and then also getting my schoolwork done. But yeah, it's really exciting to talk to you guys because this is really cliche, but you're the future of what's going to be happening in our industry.
Great. Ivan, how about you?
Just that, hats off to everyone that's working hard right now. I know all the roadblocks and challenges you guys have been through in the past year. I can't imagine what it would be like to finish up my college career during a pandemic like this, but I wish all of you the best of luck. I hope each of you find something that you're passionate about and that you love, whether it's in real estate or not. And hopefully you guys took away a little something. Hopefully one or two of you really gets hooked in about what we're talking about today and joins the field. And but anyway, main message is best of luck, and hope all of you find something you love.
Yeah, well, and thank you guys for offering your time. I know that the students appreciate this. I mean, you guys are the top of your field, and I mean, every time I get to work with you and talk to you and, do a project with you, I mean, that is that is a gift. Your gift of time to helping perpetuate this field is invaluable. So thank you so very much. Now, in the end here, keep giving us your comments if you have them, guys. Next steps here for those who are still with us, we are offering this year to students free membership for CARW. And what that gets you is access to our organization, our weekly newsletter, so you can kind of get a feel for what's going on in the industry. Every week we have a newsletter that covers, happenings in the industry, some sort of insights from our national organizations, information about all of, the different affiliated organizations and different career types or different commercial real estate field types. You get access to our directory. You can attend CARW events once you feel comfortable networking. Some of them are at establishments, so we might have to, be careful about that. Alexis will reach out to you with an application, and so that'll be good through December 31st, 2021. Internship and mentoring opportunities. We do have a place on our website where you can access any of the jobs that have been posted by our member firms or anyone from within the industry. You can kind of check those out. We're continuing to add to that list. You can also submit your resume if you are interested in an internship. We are keeping a bank of those for folks within our organization who are interested in, taking a peek through those resumes. You can have access to, these site tours if you reach out. Those are things that we coordinate through the organization. The other thing that our state association offers, and we're looking to work more closely with them, is the opportunity to get your real estate license. That was one thing that I didn't know if I would hear that or not as a practical tip or tool, but I know that some of the students have their real estate license, and the process in getting your real estate license is a lesson in and of itself. It's something like 72 hours of training, practical knowledge about, the world of commercial world of real estate. And so our state association does have some limited opportunities for scholarship in that realm. So you can reach out to me if you're interested in that. And I'm hoping to have more information in the coming weeks. So does anyone have anything to cap us off?
I just want to, if this is okay, Tracy, I just want to tell you guys the CARW membership is so invaluable, especially for you as a student. I mean, we CARW members pay quite a bit of money to be part of this organization, and it is so worth it for us. But a free membership, I mean, this is like, it sounds like I'm doing a commercial, but really, if there's anybody who you want to get connected to in commercial real estate, CARW is the way to do it. Anyone who's serious about commercial real estate is already a part of CAR pretty much. And Tracy is so committed to helping you. And I know the rest of us on the panel are too. And a great way for you to meet a lot of people is through CARW, through these virtual events, through events in person. So definitely strongly consider signing up for the CARW membership. And then if you want to attend an event and you're nervous about going by yourself, feel free to reach out to me and I would be happy to buddy up with you or find someone to buddy up with you. So if you are there as a student, you will impress everyone just by showing up. So.
And then Tracy, I just wanted to tag on to your comment about the real estate license. So just an FYI, even in property management, if you talk about rents or you negotiate rents on an apartment, on an office, on a trailer, on a storage unit, you have to have a state license in Wisconsin, at least a sales license in Wisconsin. So that's just an FYI.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be kind of a new path too for us for helping to promote the careers, is to be talking about that already pre-planned curriculum. You know, it's not extremely expensive, but a great tool to have. You know, and it's tried and true. It's not inexpensive, but if you're getting that and then reaching out to the network and trying to make it work for you, it's a great tool to have. And again, it's so impressive if a student has it. I know there are a couple that I've talked to that have their license and they're sophomores or something. So, any final words, Jeff or Ivan?
I don't think so. Alyssa, well stated on the value of the CARW membership.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll follow up with contact information and some other action items and takeaways. Thank you. And thanks to our panelists.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.